Hi all. Today we will be doing a demo on vSphere, VMware vSphere. I want to introduce myself. I have 8 years of experience in server technology virtualization. I have worked with top giants like VMware and Microsoft. When it comes to VMware, I have done a lot of certifications like VMware Certified Professional. I have completed VMware Certified Advanced Professional. I have also completed the highest, which is VMware Certified Implementation Expert as well. Moreover, I have also, because of the interest that I have in the cloud as well, I have done Amazon Web Services Solution Architect exam. Currently, I'm working in organization of Nutanix, where I am a consultant. I provide, I help Nutanix customer to design and manage the how to manage the infrastructure and also the applications. I am also a Nutanix certified professional and also Nutanix certified master professional as well. With what I'm going to bring is I'm bringing a learning opportunity for the people who, as I said, who wants to enhance the IT skill. This course is designed in such a way that you not only gain and hands-on knowledge, not only you gain knowledge and hands-on experience in install, manage, and config, but I will also share my own experience working with the customer of VMware and troubleshooting issues. As I said, I have experience working in VMware as in the organization, so I have worked with thousands of customers, and with them, what are my learnings, what are the experience that I have, and what I will share you is the scenarios where it will help you to develop as a VMware administrator. So when you go out and give the interview, you will know that okay, this has been taught to you, and it will remain with you forever. Today's demo, what I will be teaching you is basic fundamentals of virtualization, and the best way to understand the virtualization concept is by comparing with the physical architecture vis-a-vis the virtual architecture. So when you compare both the architectures, you will know how virtualization plays an important role. So, and also I will also teach you how virtualization plays an important role in operations and saving costs. This is very, very important because when you know that when you're working in any organization, it is important for you to understand that everything is related to cost. Nothing comes as a free, even though you're working and managing the infrastructure, but your organization expects you to to try to bring up a solution which can save them the money. Also, it is important to learn why VMware is important when it comes to virtualization. There are three major factors why VMware is important, and also I will also explain you the VMware architecture, help you understand how what is the architecture of VMware, where does the how ESXi plays a role, how vCenter plays a role in that. So as I said, what we will do is we will compare the physical architecture vis-a-vis the virtual architecture. Now in physical architecture, you have the physical architecture, you have a desktop. In that desktop, okay, it can the desktop is basically a 64 bit. Oh, sorry. So the desktop is basically a 64-bit operating system. So that's because we have x36 x86 architecture. On top of that, we run operating system. Now this operating system could be any operating system. It could be Windows Server, it could be Windows Server 2012, 2016, 2019, or if there are some organizations running some legacy Windows, they could be Windows Server 2003 or 2008. And in top of that, they are running the application. Now this application could be custom application that the organization is building for themselves, or it could be any other application such as Exchange server or database server. It could be Active Directory. It could also be a vCenter, because I have come across in many customers who are running vCenter on physical machine. Now the this physical machine, now this physical desktop contains different resources such as CPU, memory, RAM, hard disk. Now, with this, there is no harm in running a physical infrastructure, all right? but there are some limitations. Now, what are the some of the limitations? So let's imagine this: you are working in an organization, okay, and you have been given a task to manage, entire physical setup of the IT infrastructure. And you have been hired. In your first day, you go in and you realize there are hundreds of physical servers. All right, and one of the first thing that you'll realize, there are wires everywhere. Okay, so there are wires connecting to the switch, there are wires connecting to one machine to another machine, and there are wires connecting to the layer 3 device, which is a router. So you notice that it's there is a lot of cleanup work to be done. All right, but one of the main drawback of the physical architecture is that the reliability. Imagine this: you're running in your machine, okay, in your personal desktop. All right, you have in your CPU, you have several other resources. Okay, in your processor, you have several other resources like CPU processors, memory, RAM, and NICs and hard drive. And in your hard drive, there are a lot of data running. All right, so one of the reason is the reliability comes under question when any of this hardware component fails. All right, or if there is an operating system crash. All right, so there is reliability issue when it comes to, it is a reliability issue when it comes to, because when you're running a lot of hardware, there are chances that the hardware failure will occur frequently when you're running a server applications. And when it's running in a desktop environment, the reliability is extremely less than the virtual infrastructure. Another key factor is the availability. So imagine this, that you're also running an application running on one of the desktop, that is, and for some reason, whether it is a hardware failure or it's an operating system failure, your application crashes. Okay, there is no availability. In many cases, what customer do, do tend to set up a replication between two desktop. But again, setting up a new desktop and performing a replication, it also brings the it has its own drawback as well. Another thing to also to pinpoint out, and that this is related to the second point that I just spoke about, is that the cost of this infrastructure. Imagine this: you're managing the hundred of physical servers, and you need to make sure that this physical servers running the applications do not have any downtime. What you tend to do is that you purchase, extra hardwares, that is the CPU, memory, RAM, NICs, anything, and also you ensure that in case they fail, that they should all the data that has been it needs to have a synchronous replication with the another physical server. And again, when you're setting up another physical server, it tends to bring another additional cost, because yes, first of all, replication also costs money, and another thing is that setting up a new server will also in turn gives cost money when it comes to buying additional CPU, memory, RAM, or NICs. So that is another thing. And also the operation that is needed, the operation cost also rises. So there are, as I said, there are multiple drawbacks when it comes to physical architecture. That's when now organization has decided, we will move to a virtual infrastructure, because it is it is difficult to manage, physical architecture, and these architectures are not helping us at all. It is intake costing a lot of money to organizations. And imagine this, moreover, it is also dangerous, because that there is a great chances of them to lose the data as well, and data costs a lot of money. the I had a similar experience with one of the customer. So he was running, as I said, he was running a vCenter server, and for some reason, what happened is that the NIC of that server was down, just failed, and he replaced the NIC. But the vCenter server, because the NIC went down, the server lost connectivity to the network, and basically the vCenter services went down. Now What happened is that he replaced a NIC, he added the NIC back, but we couldn't bring the vCenter services up and running. And one of the major drawback was that that the MAC address had a change, because this physical hardware comes with the individual MAC address. This physical NIC comes with the individual MAC address, and that has been changed. And when you install vCenter, it basically has its own, it has registers with that MAC address. So that's the reason why VMware now VMware has stopped providing support for the physical architecture for the vCenter servers. Now let's compare this. Now, since you have the clear understanding of the physical architecture, let's compare this with the virtual architecture. Now, in virtual architecture, everything remains the same apart from one thing. Okay, only thing that remains the same is the CPU, memory, RAM, and the storage that comes with the physical server. Now, this physical server are not like a desktop. Okay, these are the actual bare metals. And if you want, I can quickly show you what the bare metal looks like. So this is how the bare metal server actually looks like. This is a Dell rack server. Okay. Now, obviously, when it comes to rack and blade, there's a difference between a rack and blade. The blade is basic. When it comes to rack, you have the entire unit, and you have to. There are certain racks where you place this. Where you place this server into it. Coming to it, moving forward. Now, when you have that bare metal server, inside the bare metal server, you have to install an operating system. And that operating system is nothing but your VMware ESXi. Okay. Now, there are organizations who are installing Hyper-V. There are organizations who are installing Nutanix AHV as well. But here in this tutorial, we will be teaching about ESXi. So when it comes to virtual architecture, the virtual architecture, in the bare on top of bare metal, you install the ESXi hypervisor. ESXi hypervisor is nothing but an operating system. It's a Linux based operating system that provides virtualization adaptability to manage your servers. Now, when you have the ESXi installed, you can create multiple VMs. When I say multiple VMs, as per VMware maximum, one ESXi server with minimum configuration of one CPU, 1 GB of RAM, and 1 GB of storage, you can create up to 348 VMs. All right, but if you create a high-end VMs, which is obviously it is for many organization will create high-end VMs, you can create multiple. You can create as per the resources available on your ESXi. Now, if you notice one more thing, okay, this server comes with its own CPU, memory, RAM, and NICs. Now, this hardware is also shared with your VMs created inside the in this is also been shared with the VMs created inside the hypervisor. So with that said, the reason why many people prefer to do virtualization is because a virtualization solution are being implemented to use less hardware and also saves power. Now let's take power into consideration. Imagine if you're running 100 of servers into physical architecture, amount of power that's going to consume. Obviously, the cost of operation will also go rise. But when you're using virtual architecture, your cost of power, your cost on power will be drastically reduced, and also you will tend to use less hardware. That is the motto of having a virtualization technology. Okay, now coming back, also moving forward. Now we know the difference between the physical architecture and virtual architecture, and I also said, how it is important, how virtualization plays an important role in managing operations and saving costs. Because eventually, when you're saying the physical architecture, anything that you do, it costs money. If you replace a NIC, if you replace a CPU, it costs money. If you, for each and every server, okay, if you're installing Windows server, if you're installing Linux server, it costs license, okay? And again, the license costs money. And also power consumption is less. And moreover, there is no availability, there is no redundancy, there is no scalability, and there is no reliability when it comes to physical architecture. And that's how where the virtualization plays an important role. You save a lot of money, you tend to, you save a lot of money, it is easy to operate. You don't need a huge IT team to manage virtualized infrastructure. You need handful of people who have who have experience and knowledge on how to play in virtualization technology. They can easily manage as well. So in turn, virtualization saves a lot of money. Now, why it is also important to learn VMware? So there are three reasons to learn VMware. One reason is everything is changing. So virtualization solutions are being implemented to use less hardware, save on power, and through automation, perform tasks such as rolling out new servers in minutes instead of hours. Imagine this, in a physical infrastructure where you just insert a, ISO image or plug in a USB device and you install a Windows server. It takes hours and hours. And you need to set up and everything. But instead of hours, with through automation, you can set up a server instead of hours, you can set up in minutes. Virtualization is affecting everything. So any organization you take, in my experience, I have worked with financial institute like SBI, HDFC Bank, Axis Bank, Kotak Mahindra Bank, and also technological organizations like TCS, Wipro, Infosys, many other product-based companies, hospitals, governments like Indian Air Force, or you can say Indian Army. They are all using VMware as their choice to manage the IT infrastructure, choice of virtualization to manage the IT infrastructure. And this is not, I'm not making this up, but this is actually true. If a matter of fact, if you go and if you can find some research document or somewhere else, some in Google, you will definitely figure it out that SBA has spent over 250 crore rupees to manage the IT infrastructure, and that is running purely on VMware. And and also another reason to learn VMware is VMware is one of the biggest vendor in virtualization. In today's world, 70% of the market is using VMware. All right. VMware vSphere is a proven, reliable virtualization platform which is used by hundreds of thousands of customers. If you are going to play ball, you should be affiliated with a winning team, which is your VMware. Third, and very important, and that's very important thing, the demand of VMware skill is very high. Learning VMware skills that are in demand is a win-win scenario for you. Okay, in this course I will also take you to the scenarios and preparing you for the mock interview, so that you VMware skills will be leveraged in your existing experience with networking servers and build on that as you implement and manage virtual infrastructures. So that so this is the reason why it is important to learn VMware. And believe me or not, guys, I mean, like, I've worked in VMware for 5 years. I have worked in critical situations. I've worked everywhere, and there's so many customers. The VMware has around 1 million customers around the globe, and they always ask, how do you learn all these things? And the simple answer is that you need to work, or you need to do a little deep dive into what you're learning, and that is the only motto that I usually follow. And I will be also teaching you everything inside knowledge on how VMware actually functions. Okay, in this course, okay, I will also teach you, I will introduce you to the VMware vSphere. Okay, I will introduce you to software defined data center. All right, I will also help you to create virtual machine, manage virtual machine, also troubleshooting the virtual machine as well. Okay, because in interviews they will definitely ask you with what are the things that has to be corrected in order to bring the virtual machine up and running. Also, we will discuss about the configuration and discussion configure vCenter server also, and we will discuss in details like what are the management agents that are running in the vCenter server and how you can troubleshoot if the vCenter servers are down. One of the important thing that I always believe in is to have a strong network. Okay, and configuring and managing virtual networks inside the VMware is one of them. When you know what you're configuring, when you know what is the difference between the standard switch, distributed switch, how to troubleshoot the standard switch, distributed switch. Also, when you're creating, if you want to have a different sort of setup, different network, your VMware infrastructure, how you want to configure and how you want to manage this is a very important point. And networking is always a base in any IT infrastructure. Virtual machine management, as I said, in virtual machine management, I will teach you how to add CPUs, memories when the VMs are up and running. Now, usually you imagine the physical infrastructure. If you want to, your application is running, if your application is running on a physical server, and the application is utilizing high number of CPU and memory, and it's running out of CPU and memory, and you have to upscale it. But in physical infrastructure, it is technically not possible because you have to power down the application, which basically means the downtime, and you have to open up the processor, you have to open up the CPU, and then you have to add new CPUs, extra memories, extra CPUs, and also add new RAM into it. A lot of chaos it creates. But when it comes to virtualization, you can also add CPU as well as memory when the virtual machine is up and running. Resource management, definitely. Now we do not want, as these VMs are running on bare metal server, and you do not want them to completely utilize, because in the end you need to have some sort of resource available for the hypervisor to run its own kernel for its own services as well, correct? So we need to do a lot of resource management, and that's where we will learn about different technologies and also how to monitor them. Okay, we will learn about that as well. vSphere HA, very important, very, very important. vSphere HA. Imagine this, that you're running a hypervisor, okay, and that hypervisor, and you're running, and there are around 10 virtual machines, okay. Now, if that hypervisor fails, okay, you want there should be some sort of availability for this VMs to be running onto the another hypervisor, correct? So that's where the high availability comes under the picture. And with the high availability, okay, there are certain settings that we will be discussing in this course, and how to best way, and also we will follow the best practices on how to enable vSphere HA. vSphere fault tolerance is in vSphere. We will also be doing vSphere fault tolerance, and when I say fault tolerance, so for the important things of fault tolerance is that there should not be any downtime. Okay, that's the whole meaning of fault tolerance. There should not be any downtime. So for example, if an organization is running an application, which is generating the revenue every minute, okay, and if and that application cannot be that application should not be going down at any cost. All right, but for some reason that application goes down, and basically what it's happening, because that application has gone down, it costs a lot of money to organization. I do remember there was a case where one of my customer was running a fault tolerance and was generating a lot of revenue. Now, because he didn't have the fault tolerance enabled, sorry, he was running an application but he didn't have the fault tolerance configured. Now he didn't have the fault tolerance, and that VM went suddenly down. Okay, now, that's the whole point, and that costs a lot of money. That 2 hours window, it cost him nearly around $1.5 million. Okay, so as I said, everything is related to money. All right, so that's where I actually came in, help that customer to get that virtual machine up and running within 2 hours of span time, and also help them to configure the fault tolerance. So when I configure the fault tolerance, what basically happens, that any new data that is written on this on that VM will get replicated. We are creating another VM, all right, with the same configuration, same application, and the same, and the data is and the data is getting replicated to another one. And this data is a synchronous data. These are not asynchronous data. So when I'm saying synchronous data, everything is happening. Any new data is written that in that minute, and very next second that data will get replicated over to the another VM. So in case if this primary VM goes down, the second VM we can also take in charge, and the application will never go down. So meanwhile, regardless of what, if you are taking 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours of time to troubleshoot to bring this VM up and running, the application is still running, and the customer is not losing its revenue. Moreover, we will also talk about protection data. So the protection data is nothing but a BDP, okay, vSphere data protection. It's basically a robust, simple to deploy and disk-based backup and recovery solution. Okay, any data, okay, that is written on the disk of the VM gets backed up, and in case if the VM is down, okay, for some reason, and it cannot be brought up, okay, that's when you can use vSphere data protection and bring disk-based backup, and then you can recover that disk and create a new virtual machine and add that disk and get your data recovered. So that's the whole purpose of vSphere data protection. And also to add you, vSphere data protection is no longer supported by VMware, but again, I will teach you because there are organizations who are still using it, and they don't have the replacement of it yet. So coming to data center migration, all right. In data center migration, we are looking into something known as um, you know uh, you can data migration is nothing but here we will be looking into storage vMotion. We will be looking how we can migrate our data from one data store to another data, so from one storage to another storage, because it is important that in case if you're, let's say for example, if an organization is running a SAN, okay, and that SAN is getting full, all right, and they have another SAN available, but they see that there is a lot of space available in that specific SAN. So with the help of storage vMotion, which is a VMware feature, you can initiate a storage vMotion and you can migrate the data from that SAN to another SAN, so that there is a space available, and it will prevent from having a disaster of bringing the SAN down. Okay, vSphere DRS. vSphere DRS is nothing but a distributed resources scheduler. Now every virtual machine is running on CPU and memory, and this CPU and memory is provided by the hypervisor. Now imagine this: your CPU and your application is requesting for more CPU and memory for it to run. Okay, and if the hypervisor do not have that sufficient memory as CPU and memory resources, what it will do, it will migrate that VM, performing a vMotion to another ESXi host where it can fulfill its requirement. All right. Now this DRS actually plays a very important role, because DRS is one of the key features where it also helps customer when performing any maintenance activity. When I'm saying maintenance activity, means that if the customer wants to perform any sort of upgrade on the hypervisor, let's say if they want to upgrade the hypervisor from different version of ESXi, that is from 6.7 to 7.0, they basically have to place the node in the maintenance mode, and when you have DRS enable, it automatically migrates the VM to another node. They don't have to manually do it. So that is another prospect of having a vSphere DRS. vSphere update manager. When I'm saying in vSphere update manager, by the naming convention, you might have heard that it is basically used for updating the vSphere. Okay, that is your ESXi. Also, it is there. You can use VMware update manager to upgrade VMware tools as well as VMware hardware. Okay, that is the virtual hardware of the VMs. Now there are other several techniques to upgrade the ESXi. You can utilize using the command lines, but let's imagine this, if you're running tens of hundreds of ESXi hosts, and if you want to perform the upgrade, it is not feasible to perform using the command line. All right, but again, that is a but again, no customer will perform hundreds of servers upgrade at once because they don't want the downtime. Again, vSphere troubleshooting, I will teach you I will, as I said, I will take you through the certain scenarios where I have come across the customers that who are having downtimes. Like for example, what happens if the node is down? Okay, what happens if there is any purple screen of death? What happens if the VM is down? What happens if the VM is running out of CPU and memory? So all those troubleshooting concepts I will be teaching you as well. Adding on, I will also teach you some of the command line interface, that is basically the ESX CLI and the local CLI command line. Now there is no difference between the local CLI and the ESX CLI command line. They give you the same result, but you need to understand when you need to understand that ESX CLI command line depends on the host management agents, and if that host management agents are down, you will not be able to run those command lines. So that's the reason why local CLI was been introduced. ESX top, it is one of the greatest tool available in VMware infrastructure that helps you to understand the performance. It helps you to makes you understand that what is the CPU percentage that is running on the VM, what is the how much is the network, how is the network. Not only that, it also helps you to understand the storage devices, if there is any latency in the storage devices, if there is any latency on the network cards, if there is any latency on the next. So ESX Shop is a very, very useful tool to understand if there is any sort of latencies going on. Okay. Enhance vMotion. EVC is nothing but an feature where, let's say, for example, when you're having multiple bare metal servers, okay, and there are chances that many of the customers have there are chances that that customers will be having bare metal of a different make and model, or the CPU are from the different family. When I'm saying CPU from a different family, basically means that they are so let's say if the CPU is running an Intel E5. Now again, when I'm saying CPU, it doesn't mean the desktop CPU like i3, i5, or i7. Thus, in servers, we have different kind of CPUs. That is CPU E5, E4, V6 servers, gold server, silver CPU, Cassandra CPU. So these are the CPUs that comes with the family of this. Now, when you power on when you power on the VM, those CPUs get allocated to the VM as well, and you will not be able to perform the vMotion. Okay, so enhanced vMotion is a feature where it basically masks all the CPU with all the ESXi host with a single CPU family feature, and you will be able to perform vMotion from one node to another node. I will also go through the virtual machine files, like what are the different kind of virtual machine files and what are the important files, what is the VMDK file, what is the Delta file, what is a VMX file, what is a snapshot file, and then I will also take you through what is the NVRAM file, and also troubleshooting related to this via virtual machine files as well. Virtual machine file system, every hypervisor has a file system to basically read and write the information on write the data on the on your SAN. And for ESXi, it is the VMFS. Okay, how VMFS works, I will be taking you through that. And as I said, troubleshooting scenarios, and as well as I'll teach you some log analysis to understand to help you understand when you face any such issues in your organization. As I said, was a support engineer in VMware for 5 years. I have worked on providing hardware OS support of ESXi, that is from way back from ESXi 5.5, which was I think I was in college when the 5.5 was released, and when I joined VMware, 6.0 was currently running, and then 6.5, 6.7, and also I have also experience in 7.0 now. Now currently they're running 7.0. So imagine the versions that we have gone through. Building the new ESXi, upgrading the existing ESXi, troubleshooting ESXi through GUI or a command line. The important thing is that I have also done crash dump analysis. I have done designing for the customer for when it comes to ESXi and the vCenter. I have also implemented the network, configuring network for virtual machine, vMotion, storage, helping customer to configure standard switch, distributed switch, troubleshooting the standard switch, distributed switching, storage related issues like all but down, permanent device loss. These are the terminologies which I will also be helping you and getting through, because if it is also important to learn certain terminologies when you're running on when you're doing the when you're doing working on VMware architect, when you're working on a VMware infrastructure. For the lab setup, all you need is an internet access. If possible, if you have a dual monitor, that's well and good. If not, that's okay. And all we need is a Windows 10 laptop or a desktop. That's all. Additionally, additionally, I will you will have access to the PDF slides that I will be using throughout the training course. Also, I will provide you a few documents which have very insightful knowledge in VMware. I mean, since I've worked in VMware for 5 years, again, in VMware, there are certain documents that which could be helpful for you as a beginner. Also, one more thing, I will also be sharing you some of the knowledge base article when we will be going through some troubleshooting sessions. So that will help you to that will assist you, when you face similar issues in when you're working in VMware infrastructure. In mock interview, I will prepare you to, as I said, I will prepare you for host failure. I will prepare you for VM power failure. I will prepare you for snapshot related questions as well. vMotion, storage vMotion related scenarios, HADRS related questions, diagnose vCenter failure, questions related to network storage in vSphere infrastructure, standard switch, distributed switch comparison. These are the basic questions that has come, that they usually ask when you are giving interview in VMware. And believe me or not, I mean, like, I have given interview in TCS, I've given you interview in Infosys as well, and they only ask questions with respect to that. After this course, you will be ready, and I'm sure that you will clear VMware Certified Associate exam, and you will be able to clear VMware Certified Professional exam. And don't worry, I will surely help you in clearing this exam as well. Matter of fact, if you need, I can also share you some of the notes available with me to clear this exam. And also, at the end of this course, you will get a completion certificate to all the participants who are in this who are enrolled. And that's all. If you have any further questions or any doubt or any questions, or if you have any concerns, you can always reach us, and we will be very happy to help you out. And I'm always looking forward to start a learning journey with you guys. So hope to see you soon again.